step into the ancient heart of North America, where earth and stone hold secrets older than written history. In this episode, we explore the enigmatic Serpent Mound, a massive, winding effigy shaped like a serpent, its true purpose still debated by archaeologists and historians alike. Was it a celestial marker, a spiritual symbol, or something far more mysterious? We then journey to the remarkable Fort Ancient Earthworks, a vast complex of walls and gateways stretching across the landscape. Built with precision and purpose, this site challenges everything we think we know about ancient engineering and ceremonial life in prehistoric America. Finally, we uncover the legacy of the Grave Creek culture, known for its impressive burial mounds and sophisticated society. What do these monumental structures reveal about their beliefs, rituals, and connection to the cosmos? Join us as we piece together clues from these extraordinary sites where history, myth, and mystery collide, and the past still whispers through the land. Serpent Mound. You're walking along a quiet ridge in southern Ohio. The wind moves gently through the grass, and for a moment, everything feels normal, peaceful even. But then you notice the ground beneath your feet isn't flat. It rises slightly, curves, then bends again. You take a few steps back, trying to understand what you're looking at, and then it hits you. You're standing on a serpent. Not a statue, not a carving, but a massive shape built directly into the earth itself, stretching over 1,300 feet long, twisting across the landscape like something alive. From above, it becomes clear. A giant snake, frozen in motion, its body coiling again and again, and its head pointing toward what looks like an egg. This is Serpent Mound, and no one can fully explain why it exists. Right away, the questions start. Who built something like this? And more importantly, why a serpent? The mystery goes deep. Some researchers believe it was created by the Adena culture, a group known for building burial mounds in this region thousands of years ago. But here's the strange part. Serpent Mound is not a burial site. No bodies were found inside it. No graves. Nothing that clearly connects it to death rituals like other Adena sites. That alone makes it different. Others suggest it may have been built later by the Fort Ancient culture. But again, the evidence doesn't fully match. The design, the timing, even the purpose, it doesn't fit neatly into what we know about them either. So we're left with a possibility that feels unsettling. What if we don't actually know who built it at all? Now look at the shape again. The serpent's head is open, as if it's about to swallow the oval shape in front of it. Some believe that oval represents an egg. Others think it could be the sun, or even a comet. And that's where things get even more mysterious. Some researchers believe Serpent Mound is connected to the sky, not just in a symbolic way, but in a precise, calculated way. Certain parts of the serpent align with the sunset on the summer solstice. Other curves match the movement of the moon during its long cycles. Think about that. A culture with no telescopes, no written math, tracking the sky so carefully that they built it into the land itself. Not randomly, not roughly, but with intention. That suggests knowledge, careful observation. Generations of watching the sky, remembering patterns, and passing them down. But why turn that knowledge into a giant serpent? Across the world, serpents appear in ancient stories. In some places, they represent creation. In others, destruction. Sometimes they are seen as protectors, other times as symbols of rebirth. But here in Ohio, there's no written story left behind. No explanation carved in stone. just this silent shape stretching across the earth, holding on to its secret. And then there's something even stranger: the location. Serpent Mound is not built randomly. It sits on top of a plateau formed by an ancient impact crater. Long before humans ever arrived here, something from space struck this area, changing the land forever. The ground beneath the mound is different from the surrounding area. Rocky, uneven, shaped by that ancient force. So, now the question becomes even more unsettling. Did the builders know? Did they choose this place because it was already special? Because something powerful had happened here long before them? Or is it just coincidence that one of the most mysterious ancient structures in America sits directly on top of an ancient cosmic scar? It's hard to ignore. When you walk along the serpent's body today, it feels quiet, almost too quiet. The curves rise gently, never too steep, but always present. Trees surround the area, and the sky opens wide above it. It doesn't feel like a place of fear. It feels intentional, calm, like it was meant for something important. But that feeling doesn't answer the questions. There are no tools left behind, no construction plans, no clear signs of how it was built. Just layers of earth, carefully placed over time. Basket by basket, hand by hand. It would have taken an enormous effort, a group of people working together, not for days, not for weeks, but for years, maybe even generations. So what drove them? It doesn't look like a simple project. It doesn't look like something built just for survival. This was something else. Something meaningful enough for people to spend their lives shaping it. Maybe it was spiritual. Maybe it was astronomical. Maybe it was both. Or maybe it was something we haven't even thought of yet. Now, let's talk about the present. Today, Serpent Mound is protected. It's maintained as a historic site, and people from around the world come to see it. There are walking paths, observation points, and even a tower that lets you view the serpent from above. That's the positive side. The site is preserved. It hasn't been destroyed like many other ancient places. People respect it, study it, try to understand it. But there are negatives too. Time is always working against it. Rain slowly wears down the shape. Plants grow and have to be controlled carefully. Human visitors, even when careful, still impact the land. And perhaps the biggest issue is that parts of the original meaning may already be lost forever. But no matter how advanced our technology becomes, we may never fully understand what the builders intended. And that's what makes this place so powerful. It's not just an ancient structure. It's a message without words. A question without an answer. In my opinion, Serpent Mound feels like something more than just art or ritual. It feels like a connection point between earth and sky, between people and something bigger than them. The effort, the design, the location, it all suggests purpose. Deep purpose. But whether that purpose was spiritual, scientific, or something else entirely, we may never know. And maybe that's the real mystery, because sometimes the past doesn't leave answers. It leaves questions. Present situation. Today, Serpent Mound is well preserved and protected, attracting visitors and researchers from around the world. Positives include strong conservation efforts and global recognition. Negatives include natural erosion, environmental damage over time, and the permanent loss of its original meaning and purpose. Fort Ancient Earthworks was standing on top of a high ridge in Ohio. Below you, the land drops off steeply, covered in thick forest. The view stretches far into the distance. It feels like a perfect place for a fort, a place to defend, to watch for danger, to stay safe. And that's exactly what early settlers thought. They looked at these massive walls of earth, stretching from miles, wrapping around the hill, and gave it a name that seemed obvious: Fort Ancient Earthworks. A fort. But the more people studied it, the less that idea made sense. Because if this really was a fort, it's a very strange one. The walls are huge in some places, rising several feet high, built with nothing but soil and human effort. They follow the shape of the hill, creating a long, winding enclosure that covers a massive area. It would have taken an incredible amount of time and energy to build. But here's the problem. There are too many openings, gaps in the walls, wide entrances, dozens of them. If enemies were attacking, these openings would make defense almost impossible. There's no clear pattern that suggests protection, no strong gates, no signs of battle. It doesn't look like a place built to keep people out. So maybe it was built to bring people in. That idea changes everything. Instead of a fort, what if this was a gathering place? A place where people came together for something important, something we don't fully understand anymore. The builders are believed to be connected to the Hopewell culture, a group known for creating large earthworks across Ohio. But even that connection isn't completely certain. Later, the Fort Ancient culture lived in this region too, and their name became attached to the site, even though they likely didn't build it. So, once again, we're not even sure who created it. And that's where the mystery deepens. When you walk along the walls today, you notice something unusual. The paths don't feel random. They curve in ways that seem planned. Certain openings line up with distant hills or points in the landscape. Some researchers believe these alignments may have had meaning, possibly connected to the sky, the seasons, or ceremonies. But nothing is proven. Inside the enclosure, archaeologists found evidence of activity, but not what you'd expect from a fort. There are signs of gatherings, food preparation, everyday tools, but not weapons, not war. That tells a different story. This wasn't a place of fear. It may have been a place of connection. Imagine hundreds of people walking up this hill, passing through the openings in the walls. Maybe during special times of the year, maybe for rituals, celebrations, or trade. Fires burning, voices echoing, movement everywhere. And yet today, it's silent, just winged, moving across the grass. The scale of Fort Ancient Earthworks is hard to understand until you see it. The walls stretch for nearly 3.5 miles. That's not a small project. That's something that required planning, cooperation, and time. So how did they organize it? There's no clear evidence of kings or rulers, no signs of forced labor, which means this may have been a community effort. People working together, not because they had to, but because they believed in something. That belief must have been strong enough to move thousands of loads of earth, strong enough to shape the land itself. But what was that belief? That's the part we don't have. No writing, no symbols that clearly explain the purpose. Just the structure itself and the feeling it leaves behind. And then there's another detail that adds to the mystery. The walls don't form a perfect shape. They bend, curve, and follow the natural lines of the hill. It's not geometric like some other Hopewell sites. It feels more organic, like it was designed to work with the land, not against it. Was that intentional? Did the builders see the hill as something sacred, something that shouldn't be changed too much? Or were they following a pattern that only made sense to them? We can only guess. Over time, the site was abandoned. The people who built it moved on or changed, or disappeared into history. The walls remained, slowly covered by grass and time. When European settlers arrived, they didn't understand what they were looking at. They saw walls and assumed war, defense, protection. But now we know it's not that simple. Today, Fort Ancient Earthworks is preserved as a historic site. There are walking trails, signs, and a museum nearby that shares what we've learned so far. People come here to explore, to learn, and to experience something ancient. That's one of the positives. The site is protected. It hasn't been lost. It's studied carefully, and efforts are made to keep it in good condition. But there are negatives too. Erosion is always a problem. Wind and rain slowly wear down the walls. Human activity, even when controlled, still has an impact. And like many ancient sites, some parts may have been damaged long ago, before people understood their importance. And then there's the biggest challenge of all. We may never fully understand it. No matter how much we study, some answers are simply gone, lost with the people who built this place. In my opinion, calling it a fort doesn't do it justice. It feels like something more meaningful. A place where people came together, not to fight, but to connect. With each other, with the land, maybe even with something beyond that. The design, the effort, the location, it all suggests purpose. But not a purpose we fully understand today, and that's what makes it powerful. It stands there, quiet and strong, holding onto a story that refuses to be fully told. Present situation. Today, Fort Ancient Earthworks is a protected historical site with maintained trails and educational facilities. Positives include preservation, research, and public awareness. Negatives include natural erosion, possible past damage, and the continuing mystery of its true purpose that may never be solved. Grave Creek Culture Sites. You're standing in a quiet town in the Ohio Valley. Cars pass by. People go about their day. Nothing feels unusual until you look up. Rising out of the ground, right in the middle of everything, is a massive hill. But it's not natural. It's too smooth, too perfect, too deliberate. This is part of the Grave Creek Culture Sites. And what you're looking at is one of the largest burial mounds in North America. At first, it seems simple, a burial place, a resting ground for the dead. But the deeper you look, the stranger it becomes. Because this mound wasn't built in a single moment. It was built in stages, layer by layer, over time. Inside, archaeologists discovered multiple burial chambers, placed carefully at different levels. That means people came back to this same place again and again, adding to it, expanding it, building it higher. Why here? What made this exact spot so important that generations chose to bury their dead in the same mound? And then there's the scale. This mound rises over 60 feet high. Think about that. Thousands of baskets of earth carried by hand, no machines, no metal tools, just effort, time, and a reason strong enough to keep going. The people connected to this site are often linked to what we now call the Adena culture. But like many ancient cultures in this region, they didn't leave behind written records. No clear names, no direct explanations. So we study what they left behind. And what they left is puzzling. Inside the mound, archaeologists found not just human remains, but objects placed with them. Artifacts, items that seem important, but not always practical. Decorative pieces, carefully shaped stones, items that appear to hold meaning beyond everyday use. Some of these objects came from far away. That's where things get even more mysterious. Materials found in these burial sites don't all come from the local area. Some trace back to regions hundreds of miles away. That suggests long-distance connections, trade, travel, or some kind of exchange network. But how? There were no roads, no vehicles, no clear maps. And yet, somehow, materials moved across vast distances and ended up buried inside these mounds. This tells us something important. These people were not isolated. They were part of something larger, a network we don't fully understand. And then comes one of the most debated mysteries of all. Some early accounts from the site mention strange symbols found on objects, markings that don't clearly match known writing systems of the region. For a long time, people argued about what they meant. Some believed they proved contact with distant civilizations. Others dismissed them as misinterpretations or even mistakes made during early excavations. The truth? Still unclear. But the idea that something unexpected was found here still lingers. When you walk around these sites today, it feels calm. The mound stands silent, watching over the modern world that has grown around it. It doesn't look threatening. It doesn't look mysterious at first glance. But once you understand what it is, that feeling changes. Because you realize this is not just a hill. It's a structure built by human hands thousands of years ago, holding the remains of people whose names we don't know, whose lives we can only imagine, and whose beliefs are mostly lost. Why did they build upward instead of outward? Why create something so large just to hold the dead? In many ancient cultures, height is important. One brings you closer to the sky, closer to something beyond. Maybe this mound was meant to do the same, to lift the dead into a place of honor or connection. Or maybe it was about memory, a way to make sure the people buried inside were never forgotten. But here's the strange part. We don't know who those people were. The mound is there, the remains are there, the artifacts are there, but the identities are gone. And then there's the question of effort. Building something like this takes coordination, planning, leadership, people working together over long periods of time. But again, there's no clear evidence of a ruler or authority forcing this work. So what brought them together? Was it belief, tradition, a shared sense of purpose? What if traditions were in love with the sense of culture? Over time, the mound became part of the landscape. Generations passed, cultures changed. The original builders faded into history. And eventually, new people arrived. People who didn't know the full story behind what they were seeing. Some parts of the site were disturbed in the past. Early excavations didn't always follow careful methods. Artifacts were removed. Context was lost. And with that, some answers may have disappeared forever. That's one of the biggest challenges with ancient sites like this. Once something is taken out of place, you can't fully put the story back together. Today, the Grave Creek culture sites are protected and studied more carefully. The main mound still stands strong, preserved as a historical landmark. There are museums and educational centers nearby that try to explain what we know and what we don't. That's a positive. The site is respected now. People understand its importance. Efforts are made to protect it from further damage. But there are negatives too. Urban development surrounds parts of the area. The original landscape has changed. What once may have been a quiet, isolated place is now part of a busy world. That changes how we experience it, and possibly how it was meant to be experienced. And of course, there's the biggest limitation of all. We may never fully understand its true meaning. In my opinion, the Grave Creek sites feel deeply human. More than anything else we've talked about so far. They're not just structures, they're memories, built into the earth. Each layer, each burial, each object placed inside It all points to people trying to honor something, trying to hold on to something. And even though we don't know their names, their stories still reach us in a quiet, powerful way. It's not just about mystery. It's about connection. A connection across time, built from soil, silence, and questions that still don't have answers. Present situation. Today, Grave Creek culture sites are preserved and recognized as important historical locations, with museums and protection efforts in place. Positives include conservation, research, and public education. Negatives include past excavation damage, urban surroundings altering the original environment, and the permanent loss of some historical details that may never be recovered.